Hello, my team is the number 6 and we will talk about for the life of John Wayne Gacy. Who was John Wayne Gacy? Also known as Pogo, the Clown or the Killer Clown, was an American serial killer who raped and killed 33 young men between 1972 and 1978.
Who was your childhood? He was born on March 17, 1942 in Chicago. His parents, Hon Stanley and Myron Gacy. His father was an alcoholic who abused him as a child and called him baby. During adolescence, he suffered several fights with his father, although the relationship with his mother and sister was always very strong. Their father was abusive, who physically assaulted her mother and insulted the children. However, John deeply loved his father and was desperately trying to win his attention and devotion. Unfortunately, he never succeeded until the day his father died, something he always regretted. Gacy's life was a constant succession of comings and goings. He was clumsy in his studies. He enrolled in 5 universities and had to drop all of them. However, he finished his last attempt to studies, business studies, and graduated with flying colors. To all this were added his constant health problems. He suffered from severe dizziness. This points to 2 possible factors: the 9-year-old accident when he fell off a swing and hit his head hard, and the severe beatings by the father. This resulted in a clot in his brain that made him lose consciousness momentarily and prevent him from concentrating.
His personal life. His first marriage ended after he was convicted of sexual abuse of a minor. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison for this crime, but after 18 months in the Anamosa State Penitentiary, he was released on parole in June. Due to his good behavior, he married a second time, a woman he met in high school, and she, along with his 2 children, moved in White Hue. He became an important and respected member of the community. In addition to his show as a clown, he became an active participant in the Democratic Party, volunteering to clean up party office. He finally became a double bubble. In this position, he was able to meet and even be photographed with the then First Lady Rosalind Carter. In fact, Carter autographed the photograph for John Gacy best during the search at Gacy house. After being arrested, this photo caused further embarrassment to the United States Secret Service. At Fature, John went on lapel display later. which meant that the Secret Service had given him permission to seek classified information.
He began to succeed in the various jobs he had. He became an entrepreneur with a great capacity for conviction, charisma, and the necessary attitude of a very good born Sliman, which made him stand up. At the same time, he meets his first wife, Marilyn Myers, a young girl from important family. John and his father-in-law were so close that shortly after he instructed him with the management of the one of KFC franchise. In her spare time, he attended and organized community events and festivals with the intention of helping the society where she lives at Children's Hospital. His presentation was not like the John that everyone knew, but dressed as the clown Pogo, his alter ego that made all those people laugh and hate at different times.
Modus operandi. A clown-faced killer. The killer clown's modus operandi was from deception. He either offered to take his victim in his car or summoned them at home with the excuse of offering them a mason job and his company. Once there, he drugged them with chloroform to take to their other room, where a complete instrument of torture was found and revealed in implement his sodomy following young people with works, pornography films, or with job offers at $5 an hour that finish, sleeping them with chloroform. He then they did up, tortured them, raped them, and murdered them by means of the wrong number. This technique was to strangle victims with able around his neck while pressing him with a stick or knife. Once they did, he buried them in his garage. Multiple personality. The choice of figure a clown seems to be due to the identification with his traumatic childhood situation that led to the suffering of serious sexual dysfunction and reason we saw some in sodomy and murder and antidote against impotence. On the other hand, his victims were masculine to Carmen, another of the traumas inflicted by his father, Wilford Bengay. Essentially, we were tortured and killed his victims, his childhood image as atonement for guilt or false sins. With a highly antisocial personality, but with a sinning sins. Of soon a living that they used to organize meetings at home no matter how we raised suspicion. He seemed unaware of the gravity of criminal action as he were able to separate his mother's side from that exemplary host a result of his lack of connection to reality, almost as if they suffered a personality unfolding. Other hosts in most relevant traits are self-centeredness and desire for domination. It wasn't enough for him punishment feel that his victims suffered and begged, whose agony did with his father. He needed to punish his child will imagine and accurate his father's dominant figure.
The first attacks in 1868, Gacy was convicted of sexually assaulting two teenagers and received a 10-year prison sentence. He was released on parole in December of 1970, but he was arrested again the following year after another 13-year case Gacy of sexual assault. The charges were dropped when the boy did not appear during the trial. One of the boys was the first victim, 15-year-old Donald Burhead, whom he tricked into saying that he would put an X-movie on him. In Mothers, one of the first to die was 16-year-old Timothy McCoy, who was hired at a bus station. Gacy convinced him to sleep at his house, and the next morning believing that young men wanted to attack him one night he was spraying and buried on toast. He was stay victim in the shed that he had on organs. Names of some victims. One of the first to die was Timothy McCoy, 16, who was waiting at a bus station. Then came Hugh Bukovic, 17, Samuel Stapron, 14, James Jackson, whose body was not identified until 2017, Kenneth Parker, 16, of the James and Mother case for frequent his second divorce, the last fit even his apart.
Captured in his latest murder. John Wayne Gacy was discovered in the commission stage of his last murder where so he kidnapped 50-year-old Robert Pierce, who he convinced to quit his job at a pharmacy and work for him at his construction company. The boy informed his mother of the change of plans and never returned. The young man's missing report led the officers to contact the last people who had spoken to the boy. One of them was John, who after questioning him was confronted with multiple inconsistencies and a long history of corruption of minors, which we have seen on the slides before. With the evidence, the police searched the suspect's home and discovered a multitude of incriminating objects, from the identity cards of the missing teenagers, their clothes, jewelry to hand, cuff, and syringe. In the back of his garage, they located a great shaft of bodies. There were a total of 29. The rest threw them into the river for lack of the space the grip impact, and the Grip Commission of Crimes, the work of the forensics to recover the remains was a conversion that it took several months to finish. They pulled femurs, skulls, ribs, arms, all whips in plastic bags of all the bodies recovered. 8 of the could never be identified. Not were they rescued in the water, although 20 years after Gacy's arrest. The Chicago police managed to find Sobourian in his mother's house. On December 22, 1978, Gacy went to his lawyers and confessed to his crimes. He stated that he was killed for the first time in January 1972, when sticking the knife into a young man's body and seeing the blood flow from his body. He felt a sense of examining and began to like this. He also confessed to killing 33 individuals and indicated the location of 28 of the body to the police. We buried on his property. The other 5 victims he said had been dumped into the nearby Test Place River.
criminal charges: 1 count of sexual assault, 1 count of child abuse, 1 count of sodomity, and 23 counts of murder. On February 6, Gacy again began in Chicago. During the trial, he pleaded not guilty, claiming mental problems. However, his testimony was later rejected, since the mental studies were carried out giving negative results. It was decided that he did not suffer from mental problems. His plea was argued that John had similars at the time of age assignment, but before and after he turned to normal to attract and dispose of victims. He was executed by lethal injection on May 10. His last work, which revealed his personality and his regret for criminal side, "Kill me and harm to restore the number of casualties. The state registered me. Kiss my ass. Never know where others are."
In this slide, we show you a brief biography time infography about Wayne Gacy. In the same way, we show you 2 pictures home of the present character upstairs. We can see his whole house, and in the photograph below, we set the same house, only now remodeled, which was for sale a while ago.
He was